Welcome to student for the week 11. In this lecture, we are going to study more about how we can connect our application with the REST API and how we can get the data from the web, from the network, from the internet, and then how we can display it and how we can save it in our local database. So this is again, we are going to use the model view model architecture, and this is more like what it is going to be. At the top we have the user interfaces, then we have the view model which is communicating with our data handler. We call it a repository, we call it a data handler, but that's a class which is communicating with the SQLite database or the web services through the network connection. So we are going to connect with some web services, REST APIs, over the HTTP connection. Okay, and the HTTP connection, it is we make a request, we get a response, we process the data, save it in the room database, and from the room database we are showing it on the to the user. So that is the architecture we are going, the application that we will learn how we can develop it, and then I will show you step by step how we can develop it. The practical session will be coming later, in which I will show you step by step inside the Android Studio how we can develop that particular specific application. But right now we are talking about more theoretical part. So again, so data is coming from the multiple sources. Data can come from the local databases. Data can come from our file system. Data can come from a remote. So database can be located in many places: web services, local database, remote database. So right now we are trying to connect with some web service, and then we are going to collect the data back into our Android application and use it. So many apps access data via web layer. That's a HTTP connection, just like your browser work. It is an HTTP working on the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. Now we also have a Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure, that is HTTPS. So we need that specific URL, the address of the internet. So that is the URL, Universal Resource Locator. So the client app makes requests by contacting the contain certain URLs, and the web servers, which are actually represent that particular specific URL, sends the appropriate data or the response back, and the client can parse that particular data and display it or consume it or use it that particular. I mean, in other case, we are using that particular specific data. So a set of functionality offered over a server using the web, but not web pages. Okay, these are not the web pages that we're talking about. We are talking more about the web service. It uses HTTP to connect and transfer the data. The client connects to the specific URLs to request specific data, which is then sent back in some documented format. Most of the time, that particular specific document is JSON, but it can be an XML or it can be a simple plain text as well. So, but depending on how you are going to read the data. uh, REST, it's a representational state transfer. So that is actually a REST web API or web services. So it's a common style to connect with some specific web service, that is REST. We also have a state for the other web services, but this is the most common form, representational state transfer web service. So remote function URLs, we all what we know, we have the URLs. When I will give you the example, then you will understand in a much more correct way that what do you mean by URL. We are sending a URL and we are getting back the data. So when we will give you this, see that example, then will be much more clear. RESTful web services, they are lightweight, maintainable, scalable. We can have as much data as we want. Maintainability is quite easy. It's a lightweight thing. REST is representational state transfer architecture. Exposes some APIs, some edge owned from application in a secure, uniform, and stateless to a client on the HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It can be Hypertext Transfer Protocol S, that is a secure one, which is the recent extension of the HTTP to making things more secure on the internet. So this is what we can say, that we have the clients which can make a request to the web server connect with the database, get back the data from the web database, and send back the XML file or the plain text or the JSON object. So again, it all depends how it is going to be returned. But normally, as I told you, that JSON is the more popular format to return back the answers or return back the response to the client. So again, REST API, it's a web data JSON objects accessed via HTTP request and response. We make a request, we get a response, and then in the response, we also have the data that we need to parse, and then we can process it, we can use that particular specific data. So this is one place where you can find some free APIs. Not all the web services or the REST APIs or the web services are free, not all. Some have some subscription, you have to subscribe. Some are free, but still they also want you to make an account, and they put some limit based on the account, and then you need to get the API key to get the data out of it. Some are open, you can just connect with them, and then how much data you want, you can get them. And again, they also provide all the web services, web APIs which are available in the world. So they provide you some kind of a documentation which will help you to understand what is that particular specific API work, so how that can be working. Okay, even the YouTube is also provide you the API, how to connect with that, get some specific information about the videos on the in the system that they have, and then how you can try to list down all those videos and get their URLs and so on. So let JSON again, as I told you, that JSON is the JavaScript object notation. So that is the most popular format for the response when the data is going to be converted into a JSON object, and that object or that particular specific plain text has been returned. So the JavaScript object literal maps, it is a key value pair. We have a key and we have a value. So key represent the name of that particular data, and the value represent the data itself. So can contain sub objects. It's a complete notational that we can slightly less capable than the XML. I mean, it is not XML, but it's more like an XML. Currently most popular web data interchange format for most of the applications. So this is our JSON, and this is the API that we are going to use to demonstrate our application in this lecture as well as in the practical session. So this is a meta weather. So here, this is what you can say that, as it is clear from the name, it's a weather API, weather web services. You can search a location, like for example, I want to search Auckland, or I want to search Palmerston North, or I want to search Wellington. So I can, maybe I say WEL and try to hit a search button. It will try to come up with all the locations which has the WEL inside that particular specific location name. So again, location info, we can get, if we can get that specific location information, then it will give us the 5 days forecast. We can also have location day. It means that we want the forecast for a specific location on a specific day. I mean 2020 in the October on 7, so October 7. So we can specify the day as well, so it will give us the forecast. But again, it will give us the forecast which is more than like from the 7th of October 2020 and the previous 5 days. So again, it will give us the 5 days forecast. So it is not that because these are free services, we don't need to create an account, we don't need to do anything, we just need to specify these URLs. And as you know that it is HTTPS, that is a secure one. So I will show you the example that how we can do that. For example, if I just type in my browser that HTTPS www.metsweather.com/API/location and then /search, and then I say query is equal to Wellington, it will give me back the answer. So this is the answer which is being returned. So it is an object that comes out of it. So this is an object which contains the key value pairs. The title is the name key and the value is the Wellington, and because it has the double quotes here, so we can simply understand this particular specific value is actually a string. Again, this is a string which is a type of that particular specification. WOEID, it is a where on earth ID. So it's more like the ID identification for that particular specific location, and it is unique. Okay, so we need to understand data first as well. First of all, we need to understand what we are going to get and what the data model is exist in that particular API. So we know that in that particular specific location information, we have four different parts. Number one, what you can say that where on earth ID. So that we can, if we try to think about in terms of our database, then we can say that this is a unique ID which is representing that particular specific, well, LinkedIn. Okay, so what we can say that this is our primary key for our database table. This is again the title, the name of the city, this is the location, the type of the type, maybe it is a like Manawatu, which is a region, not a city. So it could also be possible that we're talking about a region or the province or something like that. Maybe we can say that about the country. And then we also have the latitude and longitude values. So latitude and longitude values again separated by comma. So this is again a string. So this is some number, it is a number value. So we understand that particular specific, what you can say that the values here. And if we are going to send that particular specific request using our browser, we get that answer as a return. Again, if we try to send something like that, like again we are searching, and then we, instead of writing the complete name, well, LinkedIn, I say AU, and then look, it's returned me the what you can say that it returned me the values which contain the AU in the title. So Sao Paulo, Austin, again it contained the AU. Milwaukee, again it's contained the AU. Auckland contain AU. Bordeaux, that is a city in France, huh? I remember because when I was there. So Bordeaux is a French city name. Manukau, it's again city in New Zealand. So we have two cities, Auckland and the Manukau, which contain the AU inside. So you can see it's returning me a list of objects. Again, each object has the same information: title, location, where on earth ID, and the latitude and longitude values. So whether we are getting one value, if we are giving a long string and it match with only one object, okay, fine, it will return me only a one object, or it can return me a list of objects. So depending on how what you are searching. So we understand that whenever we are searching something on the about the location, we can give a string as a query, and then it will search in its database in the open in the APIs, and then return back whether a single object or whether multiple objects. And it is also possible that it say that the string that you're giving, it does not match with anything, and it will return an empty string or empty object array or nothing, you can say that. So the structure, title, string, location, where. So these are the four information which are present in every object. Similarly, if we try to like here, if we have these information where on the earth ID, and if we try to after that location we give that where on the earth ID, then it will return back the 5 days what you can say that the weather forecast for the 5 days. So it's more like the current day and the previous 4 days. So it's like not the future, it's the information about the weather on that day or the previous that day. Okay, from the previous, so last 5 days it give me the information. So again it give me a bunch of objects, an array of the objects. So list of objects in, if we try to like understand in the Java where we are going to save them as a list. So array of the objects is being returned, and each object contain these information. This is a consolidated weather with sub objects. Okay, this is a consolidated weather, and then it has the sub objects, and it has the ID. If you look at the ID is there, it's again it's a number. Then we have a state name, and that it's a lightly cloudy, heavy rain, light snow. So these kind of information. So the name of that stat, weather state, And then we also have the abbreviation. We also have the wind direction, which the northwest, yeah, northwest, I suppose. And then we have created, on which that specific date it has been created, at what specific time it has been created, what is the applicable date. Applicable date is like 5/10/2020. So because I run that query on the 5th of October, so you can see that that's applicable over there. And then similarly we also have the minimum temperature, maximum temperature, the temperature, which is the temperature at that time exist. Okay, and minimum and max is actually a range in that particular specific day. Wind speed, wind direction, that's more like 360-degree angle. So what angle, at what angle it is going on, air pressure, humidity, visibility, and predictability. So we can have like a bunch of information. So if we talk about it, the 13 different parts of the information which are the key value pairs. These are the keys, and these are the values of the data itself. Except that ID, everything else is more like a floating value or the double value. These are the dates, these are the string values. So we need to understand the data as well, so that when we want to save that data, then how we can use it. So this is what we can say, that if we try to send something like this, in this one, it will return me a multiple things. What is the consolidated weather, which is this one, which also give me the time, sunrise, sunset at that particular specific location, time zone, who are the parent sources, from where that data information or the weather information is coming, the title, Wellington, and so on. So it give me, I mean, more detailed information. But that is something which we are not interested, which are not interested in the weather information. So this is the, but when you run this particular specific query, is actually give me all of these, and inside the consolidated weather we have these information about the weather. Okay, so this is the one way to access the data information. The other way, that you can also specify the location ID, where on the earth ID. We also give the date, so 2020-10-4, so it will give me like 2020-10-4. So you can see that it give me the all the information. But here it is not giving me the consolidated weather, the title, or all those information. Say no, only for that specific location on that specific day, it is going to give me the that day for October and the previous 4 days forecast, or not the forecast, you can say that the weather information. You can, so weather info after every 3 hours. So every 3 hours, if we try to look down, I mean, if I just go back, if you look at that, here we have like 2 in the morning, and then this is again heavy rain, 2:17 okay, it's giving me, but actually it is being, when you look at the details, I will show you when we will do the practical part, or maybe I can show you the information here. So yep, here it is. Yep, here it is. So, no, here it is or no? Okay, let me quickly grab that particular specific location. And request, yeah, here it is. So if I just try to like change that particular, like today is the 9th of October, so if I say this, so, and the location is whatever that is, so we look at that 2:15. Okay, so that is again happen at the 2 in the morning, sorry, 20, so it's at 20, it's mean 8 o'clock in the evening or in the night. And then before that we have like 8, 5, and then we have 2 in the in the afternoon, and then 11 in the morning. So you can see the difference between each record is actually 3 hours apart. So after every 3 hours they record all those information and save that particular specific data in their web APIs, and that is what they are trying to use it. Okay, so after every 3 hours they get this particular specific weather information and save it in their database, and that we can query and we can access it. An array of weather information objects, again it's one object that I'm showing you here, but it is actually a list of objects or array of objects which is being returned when we send a query like this. Again, this is the structure of that particular specific. We have 13 values: id, weather, state name, abbreviation, direction, maximum, minimum temperature, wind speed, humidity, visibility, and so all these informations are there. And then these are, we need to understand that data so that whenever we are trying to develop our database model for our SQL database, that understanding of the data will help us to build those tables. So sample apps, again, we are going to save, create an application that connect with the REST API, save, get the data out of the API, save them inside our local SQLite database, and display that inside out to our user. So this will be, it will look like. So you have a edit text, input string, input field. We have a click search button. When you write something like I write well, and then search, it will return me back a list of objects, or maybe only a one object, or maybe it is an empty. So if it is an empty, then we need to give an appropriate message that please change your search string, because that search string does not match with any of our records. And when we click on that particular specific Wellington, that particular location card, it will show me the informations, the weather information. So if I look at that, I am giving you that the date and at what time that particular specific has been recorded. It's the 1st October, this is the 4th of October, this is the 6th of October. Okay, so this is how we can. So now the first thing is we need to create a data model. So first thing, location. When we are searching something, we need to save those information. So we have title, we have location type, we have where on the earth ID, and latitude and longitude. So we are going to give exactly the same names here, and then we are putting those as a in our class. We have just created a add a location class. If that implements serializable, it means that we can pass that particular specific class object between two activities. Remember that we can, if we want to pass the objects between two activities, then you have to make it serializable. Then we are also telling that what will be the name of the table that will be go into our database and save all those information. And then of course we also have the constructor of that particular specific class, setter and getter methods for that, all these fields of the class. So this is the first, for the location. And similarly, if we try to look at our weather information, so we have all the information: id, weather, state name, abbreviation, minimum maximum temperatures, and so on. But what I did here, because if we look at that particular specific object, it is difficult to identify that particular specific weather information to which location. So because we don't have that information, so I'm just added that particular where on the earth ID in that particular specific result table, so that we can connect that particular result information with our location as well. So foreign key, I didn't mention any foreign key, but yes, it is actually a foreign key here. So again, I created a class in which I have put all these fields, and I also added an additional field which is the where on the earth ID to connect that particular specific weather record with the some specific location. So we have created two models. The other thing is that if we go all these on these links, we can get all these specific, what you can say, that they have 10 yeah, 3 3 and 3, and yeah, these are the 10 different weather states which exist in that particular specific database. And you can get these 64 pixel by 64 pixel images. What I will do, I have already downloaded those images, and then I will put them in as a resource inside our inside the Moodle, so you can download, or you can directly go into these specific locations. I have given the link, and you can right click on those and save those images inside your computer, and then you can copy them into your drawable folder inside your mobile app. And of course, because we are talking about, we have developed two entities or the data tables based on the location and the weather information. And then we have the DAO, that's again an interface. Here I'm saying that insert query. So we are inserting the location, list of locations, list of the weather results we are inserting inside our database. And then we also having getting the information out. So based on the where on the earth id, we are going to reading location weather, and then we can also have search location results, whatever that results are. So the search string that you have provided in that input field, so based on that it will try to find out the information from your database and give them back as a list, and that we can show in the recycler view to tell what search results have been generated from the string that the user has provided when he or she hit the search button. Again, we have built the entities, then we have built the DAO. Now we need to build the database. So this is a database class, which is an abstract class. Where we are mentioning that we have two entities. It's version number, export schema false. It is an abstract class which have the database object which is null in the beginning. Okay, and then we have the public abstract meta weather dbdao get dao. So actually it's like abstract method which is going to be implemented by the room architecture. And then we also have the meta weather database. And remember that, I mean, when we are using all those entities, add rate of database, add rate of insert, it means that we have to include first the room dependency inside our inside our Android project. If we didn't do that, then of course we can't use it. So I mean, this is understood. We have already seen in the previous lectures where we talk about how we can add all those things. So I have already added that particular specific dependency in our project, and then we am using it. And then here we have a create database method, which is a public static method. It will check if that particular database is null, then it is going to create that particular database and return that database to us. So this is our database class. We have already discussed in detail in the previous lecture. So I'm not going to go into that detail again. Searching the location via REST API. Again, now we have like, because we are searching the information on the internet, it means our application is going to connect with the internet. And if you remember in our first lecture, I told you that every application in Android is running in its own virtual environment. And in that virtual environment, they have the full control. They can write the information, can read the information inside the specific location which has been provided to that particular specific application, or it can do whatever for the internal resources which are present in that particular specific application or the project. But if that particular application need to access the something which is out of that particular specific virtual environment, then it needs the permission. For example, in this case, we need to connect with the internet. We need to connect the network services of your Android phone. This is not the part of your virtual environment that has been created specially for your application. So this is out of your virtual environment. It means that we need to have the permission. And what do you mean by permission? It means that when we are going to install that particular specific application, then we are telling the Android system, the operating system, that this particular application may access the network services, may access the Bluetooth services, may access the camera services, or may access the contact or the other information. And remember that when you apply, sometime when you install the applications, they ask you the permissions to access your contact information, to access your microphone, to access your camera. So actually, those applications ask you, do you give me the permission to use those external facilities? And if you say no, those applications cannot use those things. So the same thing here, because we want to access some external service which is not part of our Android virtual environment for our application. So we have to tell in advance when we are installing that application in our Android system that this particular application may access, not necessarily, but may access the network services. So for that we need the permission. So that permission we need to add inside our inside our Android manifest. Okay, so inside our Android manifest we are going to add that particular specific permission. And where? So this is our Android, where we have two activities. One is the main activity, other one is the weather result activity. And then here, right, I mean in the application, not in the application, at the top level, that manifest, we are saying that use permission. If that particular specific Android application has the permission to access the internet. If you don't do that, and whenever you are trying to run the network operation, it will give you an error message and will shut down your application immediately. Okay, so we need to provide that particular specific. Whenever we are trying to connect with some network services, we need to have those particular specific applications, what you can say that we need to give that particular specific permission to our application to use it. And once we have done, yes, then we can use it. Now, the network operations. Network operations are not allowed on the main thread. Just like remember that in our databases, if we want to access our database, we cannot run those operations by default on the main, in the main activity. We have to have a separate thread. So at that time we talk about how we can use the async task, but async task is deprecated in the recent versions of the Android. So again, we need to go back to the classical Java threading capabilities. So we have a runnable interface which can make a specific class as a thread, and we can convert that into a separate thread and use it. So add a Java class. We have like Meta Web Services. We are searching the location. We are search location, and then it implements the runnable. When you say implements the runnable, it will ask you to override a run method. Okay, so first of all, let me show you that this is a Meta Weather class which implements runnable, and in that particular class I have some specific base URL. Base URL, if we just try to convert that, come back to our what you can say that API. So this is the base URL. If we look at that, so every API, it has that particular specific thing. And this is the base URL, HTTPS. So I'm just putting that here. And then if you want to search something, it will be something like this, the slash API slash location slash search question mark, and then query is equal to some specific string. Okay, so this is again a URL. We can also search based on the latitude and longitude, but that's what we are not right now going to work. So we need to have that particular specific thing. So this is the search query. So I have that search location URL and equal to, and then here we will going to add the search string which is provided by the user. So we also have a string, search string. Then we also have a final metadata, whether DAO, that's help us to put that particular specific information which has been returned back by the web API and the web services. And then we are going to make a list of the locations and add that locations inside our database. So to connect with our database, we need that DAO. So that's why I have created that particular specific DAO object as well. Is successful, again, that particular specific operation has been successful or not. So I also have this thing. And the other thing I add, that I also add the constructor where I am going to initialize this particular DAO, and is successful is false by default. And then we also have two methods. One thing is how we can initialize that particular specific search string. So we are initializing the search string, and then we can get the results out of that particular specific thread, that is successful or is unsuccessful. If that particular specific value is false, it means it is unsuccessful due to some reasons. Maybe network permission is not allowed by the user, or maybe the that particular specific web service is not working, that maybe the connection is broken, the results are not given back, or something like that. Whatever that happens, because multiple things, whenever we're talking about the network, the multiple reasons for the error could happen. So it will be remain false. Otherwise, if it is successful, it is going to be become true. Of course, we are going to make it true based on our implementation, but these are the things: setting the search string, and then add the after the finishing, we are going to get the results back, is it successful or not. And then, as I told you, whenever you say implements runnable, it is we need to override a run method. We need to implement that particular specific run method inside our class, which we are going to make as a thread. So here in that run method, what I'm doing, I am adding, this is the base string, and after that we are putting slash slash API location query, and then we are also at the end we are also adding the search string which is provided by the user in the input field. And then here we are saying that HTTPS URL connection is equal to connection, is a connection is equal to null. So it's an HTTPS connection URL connection type object, and in the beginning we are saying it is a null. And now we are going to try that particular specific thing. We are trying to convert that string, this HTTPS slash all search strings and that particular specific strings concatenated together. This is a string. From that particular specific string, we are going to create a URL. That's again an object. It's a universal resource locator object. And then from that particular specific object string, we are going to create a URL. And then we say that connection is equal to URL, that the URL that we have just created, dot open connection. Using that web address, we create a universal resource locator, and now we are opening that particular specific connection between our application and that particular specific resource which is available on the internet. So url.open connection, and that by default it is going to return back me an object. It is a connection object, it is a HTTP connection object, but we have to cast that into that particular specific. So we are converting that into a HTTPS URL connection, because this particular specific method return me an object. We can cast it into HTTP URL connection or maybe some other connection, but we have to, because here we say HTTPS, so we convert it into HTTPS connection. And then we say that, then we say to connection dot set request method. We have multiple post, get, add, delete, different type of things we can do. So there are 6 different methods which can help us to HTTP operations. Okay, so but here we are saying get, and then say that dot set request property. We are making the request property content length is equal to 0. Do we want to use the cache? We are setting some specific connection settings. Do we use the cache? No, we don't want to use. How much time before that particular timeout operation can, we make a request and we try to connect with some specific web service, and we say that if within that particular specific time that connection is established, okay. If it is not, then we are going to stop making that connection. So what is a timeout and what is the read timeout? Okay, how much time it should take to read the data out of, from that particular specific web location. And then we say connection dot connect. So now if it is all successful, it is going to be connected. And once it is connected, then we can check the status. And what is the status? So we actually have an integer. So we say that int, if I just, it should be here that we must have that, it is more like that we are from that particular connection, we say that dot get status. So it will give me an integer value, and on that particular specific integer value, I am putting a switch. If that particular request status is 200 or the 201, 200 mean its request is okay. If 201 mean request is created, request is established, the connection has been established, and we can read the information out of it. Okay, so that is, in 2 cases we are successful. And if we are successful, then we say that we want to create a buffer reader is equal to new buffer reader, and we say that input stream reader connection dot get input stream. So from the connection which we have established between the application and that universal resource location or locator, so we are trying to get the input stream out of it, and then we assign it to a buffer reader. And then we also have a string builder, which is, we have a string line. So we say that br buffer reader dot read line, read one line from that particular specific input stream or from that particular specific data which has been returned by that specific URL. Okay, and assign it into the line. If that line is not null, it means it has read some information, and then we are going to append those information inside the string builder, and at the end we are going to close that particular specific input stream. And once we have successfully read those information, so now this particular specific string builder contains all the data in the form of a string. Okay, now what I'm doing, because we are reading the locations, so maybe it is, again I'm saying maybe we are getting the multiple objects, maybe we are getting the one object, or maybe we are getting nothing or no object at all, an empty array. Okay, it is possible, but in any case we are saying that list or location, we are creating an empty list of locations, and then we are say string result, whatever that results which are in the string builder. So we string builder dot to string, it will convert all the things which are there inside the string builder which we have read from our URL and put that into a string object. That particular specific string object is look like that. Okay, so I just actually this particular specific thing, it's a continuous one line. If it's a very long line you can say that, but just to make you understandable, so you can see that it is continuous string. Okay, so it has the braces start and end, and inside those braces we have the title Sao Paulo, location type, where ID, and the longitude and latitude value, and that object, that curly braces start and end, left and right, so that represents one object, one location object. And then we also have the second object and the third object and fourth object, and this is the search string which we have, the user has given in the input field, and then that we have passed to that particular specific thread. Okay, using the set search string operation method, and then based on that particular AU as a string of search, we get these multiple objects. So if I just try to what you can say that this is going to be say, this is what I mean, the results actually contain all these information. So first of all, it's an array of JSON objects because they are representing. So I just try to make one object at one line, so you can simply identify this is a one object, this is second object, this is third object, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 6 objects. Each object became a location object inside our application. So we need to convert these strings into our location objects, putting that Sao Paulo in the title field, this city in the location type field, this is where on a ID in the where on a ID into the where on a ID field, and latitude and longitude values. So if it is also possible that that particular specific strings becomes like this, it means that there is nothing, there is no object has been, the string that has been provided by the user, it does not match with any location in the world, or any location in the database that particular specific web service has. Okay, so we have this list of locations and then the results. So in the results we have the things like that. Now we are checking if that particular result is not equal to this. If it is not equal to this, it means there is some objects which has been location values which has been returned by the system. So then we say that string array results is equal to result dot split, and what we from on which we are splitting on that particular specific left curly braces. So when you say this, it becomes something like this, because it will remove that particular specific curly brace, and then it will divide. After that we have the curly brace, that will become the first object or first element in the string array. This will become the second element in the string array, third element, fourth element, fifth element, sixth element, and seventh element. At the end we have the 6 objects, but this first object is actually contain the first, what you can say that if I just go back here, it will remove that part, this particular part will become the first, and after that till this particular specific left curly bracket, that become the second object, and that is what happened here. Okay, so now we need, these are the objects. If first of all, if that particular specific object, the results is equal to this, we don't need to do anything. The reason is that we don't need to process that thing. It is not an object, it is not a location. We need to process 1 2 3 4 5 6 index value 1 2 3 4 5 6, not the index value 0. Or you can say that when the particular specific string array value is equal to this, we are don't going to process it. If it is not, then if it is not implemented, we're talking about these other values, then what we are going to do, we are going to replace the things. We say that, remember, we have these particular specific right curly braces, we want to remove it. So we say that we are doing some string operations, string dot replace. So it is going to replace that right curly braces with nothing. It means it is going to be deleted, and it will return me the new string, and then again I am also saving in the same string. Okay, so now we don't have this curly braces. The other thing, that if you look at that, we don't need this, these double quotes. So again, what we can do, we can remove those double quotes. So we say that string dot replace, that double quotes replace with nothing. Again, those double quotes gone, we don't need them. Fine. The other thing is that this last element, we don't need that. Here I mean, in the these objects, the last element is a comma, and in the last object, the last element is actually a brace, the right brace. Okay, so we don't need them. So what we are doing, we are saying that removing from the start of the string till the second last element, we want to have a substring. Okay, removing, ignoring that particular last element. So now you can see that all of them are in the same way. We have a key colon value comma key comma colon value key colon comma colon value, and then again comma, and so on. So they are all separated by. So now they are in the same format, all of them. Now what we want to do, we want to process them and convert them into our location objects. So how we can do that? The first thing is, I mean, these are the things we have here. So we say that split on comma. And if you look at that, we have a comma here. So it will convert that particular part into the zero index, zero at the zero index in the parts. This will become the first index in the parts. This will become the third index in the parts. This will, and if you look at that, this particular specific key value player, this is the latitude and longitude, but in between the latitude value and the longitude value, we also have the comma. So what will happen? This will also become split based on the comma. So that will become the zero index of the parts, that will become the first index of the part, that will become the second index of the part, that will become the third index of the part, but this last value will also become the fourth index of 0 1 2 3 and 4. So it does not separate. So that's something we need to make sure that we are handling. We are not putting that particular value in a separate field, but we are putting that into a latitude and longitude value. That's we need to manage. Okay, so we have these what you can say that uh, 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, and 4 index, and these are the key and these are the values, and again these are the key, these are the values, and so on. So what we are trying to do here, so we say location is equal to new location. For each object we need to create a location, and then we say that for I is equal to 0, I mean we are making an array from 0 to 4. Okay, so we say I is equal to 0, I is less than parts dot length I plus plus, and then use sub parts. So from the first part, at the index value 0, we are splitting that particular specific part into two based on the column. So title will go into the sub part 0, and the Sao Paulo, the name of that particular specific city, go into the sub parts 1. So the part 1 is the more important that we are interested in. Okay, so if that is a 0 value, it means that particular specific value should go into the title of the location. So we say when that particular specific index value is 0, location dot set title sub part 1. If that particular specific index value is 1, it means that is a type of location. So location dot set location type sub part 1. So I mean, based on the index value, we are putting these values into the different parts of the location object. Okay, because we have where on earth ID, then we also have the title, then we have the location type, then we also have the latitude and longitude. So four what you can say that four objects. So If it is index 0, that is a title, so it will go into the title. If it is index value 1, that is a location type, so it will go into the location type. If it is a index value 2, that is the where on earth id, so that will go into the where on earth id. But that particular specific value is a string here, but we say that it should be a long, so we need to convert that into a long value. Okay, and the same thing we are going to do with the latitude and longitude. I mean here we have add the index value 3, but this index value 4 is also exist over there. The reason is that that particular value should be a part of this particular specific field. So here I'm saying that subpart 1 for the index value 3, but put a comma after it and then add the fourth index value inside it. Okay, so in this way we are taking care of these two separate index values at the same time at the index value 3. And when it is 4, we are not, we have set the title, we have set the location type, we have set the where on earth id, and then we also have set the latitude and longitude values inside our location objects. Now at the fourth index we are not going to process the data, but rather we are going to add this particular location into our what you can say that, remember that we have created a list of objects. We have created a list of locations. So we are going, the location that we have just created from that one record, we are going to add into this particular specific location list of location. So okay, yeah, so here we are saying that we are going to add that particular specific location. So when we add that location, so again we are putting that into a, so that will be added. Now once, for now we will do the same thing for each object. If we look at that, we have 6 different objects, so we are going to perform like this. So first of all, that index value 0, it will go into the title. That is index value 1, that will go into the location type. In our location object, that is a where on earth id, that is here, so it will go into that one. Then we also have this one. So but here these are the two different values. Okay, these are the two different values. So what we need to do here, so we need to combine this one and this one together and put it into latitude and longitude value, and adding, and we are adding that location object inside our location list of locations. And once we have done for all the objects, 6 objects, all have inserted into the list of objects, and then using the DAO that we have, when we create that particular specific thread, we have initialized that DAO. We say that go into the DAO, insert the locations, and then list of locations has been added, and then it will be done. So if I put it into the try cache, if it is already there, it is going to abort. It means it is going to create a exception. So we are trying to catch that exception, so it does not break our application, it does not stop our application from running. And because those information is already there, so it does just give me a error message inside our what you can say that to our system, and then that's it. And then we say that because we have already done all the things that are related to that search process, so we say is successful is equal to true. And once it is successful is equal to true, so this is what our that thread class, which is going to search some information on our web API look like. So it's a base URL. We are setting the DAO and is successful. We set search string, then we also have run and get value. So this is the method that we have just looked at, that the run method. Now we need to create a model class, because we don't want that our main application create that thread to connect with the internet, and then so we are going to have a view model which is bridging our data part from our UI. So we have a view model lifecycle aware class, communicate between the UI and the data. So I'm creating that particular specific class which extends the view model, and in that particular specific class we have the meta DAO is equal to null, final application, and then we say public set, that's a constructor of this class in which we are providing the application, and it will create that particular specific DAO, create the database, and assign that DAO to here so that we can use it. And now in this particular, this is the method search location meta result, that's in the view model. That's a method which return a boolean value, it can throw interrupted exception. So here we are creating the object of our search location object, meta search REST API searching location that we have just seen. It is going to connect with the internet and all those things, and then getting the data, processing it, and saving them in the database. So that is the database. So we have created that object here, new object, and we provide DAO. That DAO that we have initialized in when we created our view model class. We have a DAO here. We are providing that DAO as an input to our thread class, which is searching the location. Once we have done, so we are say that we also need to set the search before we can start that thread to search something. We need to first search this set string, search string. So we go into our thread class and set that search value or search string value, and then we say thread t is equal to new thread, and we are going to, based on this object, we are create a new thread, and then we say t dot start. When you say thread or t that dot start, it will go into that particular search location thread object and execute the run method. Okay, so thread dot start, it will go into that because it has implemented runnable, it will go into that class and execute the run method. So and then we say t dot join. T dot join means we are joining this particular specific thread on which this uh, view model is running. That is a main thread. Again, we are combining them together instead of keeping them separate, and you will see in the practical session that for some time our application is going to become irresponsive, and that's why the recommendation is that you don't run the long network operations or the database operations on the main thread, because the main thread become unresponsive in response of the user interaction. So that is the one, but still we are doing it just to make things easier for us. And then we say that once that particular specific thread has finished its working, then we are say that return search location thread dot get is successful. And this is the reason that we are waiting for that thread to finish, because we say t dot join, we are joining these two threads together. So it is waiting for that thread to finish the work, and then we are saying that we are going to return the, we are going to that particular specific thread value, is it successful or not. By default it is false unless and until we have complete all the processes and turn that is successful object into the true. Okay, and then it is going to be returned back, and that of course it is going to return back to the what you can say that to the main activity where which has actually asked this search process to be executed. And then we also have one other method inside our view model class that is going to return our live list of locations from our database. So search location results from database, again we are providing the same search string that we have provided here, and then using that we are passing on that to the DAO search that specific string and then return back the answers. So this is our main GUI. So it's what I will do, I will also provide that particular specific XML class, the design over there as a downloadable file for you inside the Moodle. So of course I don't want to, we have the text view, this is a view, this is again text view, this is a edit field, this is a button. So you can create it by yourself. I don't think so that you can't do that, but still to make things easier for you, I will try to put that particular specific XML file as a downloadable file to you, and you can see it. Of course, when to show one location, we need to have a, what you can say, a layout file. So here we have a layout file in which we have 3 text views, and that is inside our card view. Again, I will make that particular specific XML file available to you so that you can have it. And now we have a view holder. Again, because we want to show a list of locations to our user that are the result of its search over the location in the web APIs. So what it will do, we need the view holder and the recycler view adapter and the recycler view inside our main activity. So I'm just trying to create all those things. So we have a recycler view holder. So that's a location search result view holder class that I have added. That is a subclass of the view holder class. And then inside that we have the title, we have type, we have location TV, and then we also have the location object itself. Okay, so we have assigned those things, and then we initialize them, and then on the click event of the card view we are going to start a new activity with the weather result activity, and we are putting that particular location object as extra information in the intent, and start the other activity when we are whenever the user is clicking on that particular specific um, what you can say that on that specific card for that location. And similarly, we have the adopter. Again, I have created that location search result adopter class, which is the child class of the adopter. And then the data part, that's a list of location. And then I also have that particular specific, what you can say that the constructor of that particular specific class, which takes a list of location and assign it to data part. And then get integer count, how much value data part data objects we have, or data, what is the size of our data list. So we are returning that one. Here we are creating that particular specific view holder, and then here we are assigning the values that is being shown in the title. Go the title, in the type it will show the type, and then in the latitude and longitude value it show me the latitude and the longitude values. Okay, so I think that there's a spelling error in the latitude, so that's why show me that underline. But anyway, so spelling error is not that important, but yes, if you want to provide a proper user interface, you have to fix that. So this is how we have implemented our data adopter. And then here inside our main activity for the on create result, so we are saying that view model is equal to, we are initializing the view model. We have a search string et, that is a where the user is going to give me the search input. Then we have the recycler view. We say that we are recycler view object, and variable, we are initializing it, we are connecting with the recycler view. And then we also have the recycler view is equal to dot set layout manager. We are not setting the adopter yet. We are going to set the adopter when the user hit the search button. And the on the search button, when the user is hitting the search button, what we are going to do, we are getting the search string out of that particular specific search input string, input search input field. So we are checking, is if it is empty, it means that user need to provide the search string if he want to search some location inside the REST API. If it is not, then of course we are not going to. If it is user has provided something, then we are say that try if the view model, again view model dot search location meta search API. Now we have a note here. It means that if that particular specific thing had returned false, it will say that no match location, matched location, change your search string. So we didn't get any result out of that particular specific search process. If it is not the case, I mean, we have successfully we have a success in searching some information from our REST API. Then we say that view model dot search location results from DB. So from our database we are getting the search results, and we are observing them. And then we say that we on the whenever that particular specific search results are changed, we are going to assign the location list of location as a data adopter, and put those list of location inside our data adopter. And then location search result adopter, we create new object and set the recycler view adopter on the click event. And then every time you click, it will assign a new data part to the recycler view, and it can show you the information. And that's how it will look like, huh? That if we have it should be other way around, but anyway, so we have this main activity, we give some specific string, hit on the search, and it will give me back the results that is being shown as a in the recycler view as a card of for each location. The same thing for the result. Okay, so the results, weather results are more like, you know, we have I think 20 30 objects. So each object is contained, I mean, if you look at that, this is one object, this 13 values. Again we have, this is the second object, this is the third object, and it's continue like that. So now again we need to convert these values into the weather results objects, or the consolidated results object. So again we create a new class which is the meta weather API's weather results for location, implements runnable. We want to make it a thread. We have a base class, we have a search string. That search string is actually representing the are we going to use it? If we look at that, we need to have, okay, let's see. So we have a search string, and then we have a location, because here, this search string is actually representing the where on earth ID. Okay, because we, in the URL, we need to provide the where on earth ID, and then slash, and then the current date. Okay, so this is actually search strings representing the where on the earth ID. Then we have a location weather URL. Then we have DBDAO is successful. It's exactly the same, except that we are going to generate a different URL string as compared to the location search. So, and then we have a constructor which is initializing our DAO object, as well as the search is successful to false. And then we also have the set search string. We can set the search string. We can also have get the result that it's successful or not. So these are the two methods are also there. And then at the end we need to implement the runnable method. So first of all, because run base URL, the www.metaweather.com slash API slash location, yeah, API slash location. And then here we are adding the search string, and search string is actually representing the where on earth ID. And then we put a slash, and then after that we have a string date. So what we are saying, date is equal to new date. When you say new date, it is getting the current date and time value. And then we are saying that simple date format SDF is equal to new simple date format, year, month, and day. And then we have slashes, automatically slashes between them. So we convert that date object into this particular specific format, and that become a string. So we are adding that string here. So we have a slash 2020 slash 10 slash whatever 08 or 010, whatever that date is, and then we have a slash at the end. Okay, and then we are saying that HTTP connection URL is equal to null. Again, from that particular specific string that we have created for that web address that we have created as a form of a string, we are converting into a URL object. We are creating a URL object, and we are opening that particular URL connection and assigning it to our connection, setting all those connection requests, because we are getting more data, so we have increased that timeout and re-timeout values. And then at the end we are saying that connection.connect, and from the connection, if we are trying to get the response code, if the response code is 200 or 201, it means it is a successful connection, and we can proceed to read the data. So 200 or 201, we can proceed the data. So again, buffer reader, string builder, we are getting the reading line, and then we get the read all the data from that particular input stream, close that input stream, create a list of the consolidated weather objects, weather results list objects you have created. And then at the end again we are checking if that particular specific result is empty or not. If it is not empty, then we are splitting it on the right curly braces. And then if that for each result in that one, if it is not like this, it means it is not the first record, which is actually does not contain any object inside it. So we are going to replace the curly brackets, we are replacing the double quotes, then we are also ignoring the last character, and then we are splitting on the comma. So when you split on the comma, it is going to create the object subparts, and then we are creating the one object for the weather. And then total 13 of 13 parts of one result. So these are the, what you can say that if it is 0, that will go into the student weather ID, weather state name, weather state abbreviation, index value 0, 1, 2, 3, index value 4, 5, 6. So again we are doing it because from the temperature, minimum temperature or maximum temperature, the temperature, these are the floating values, but they are in the form of string. Sometimes those values are null. Null mean that they does not exist, they don't know, they don't have the data, so they put null over there. So if that is not null, if that is equal to null, we put a 0. If it is not equal to null, then we will convert those values into the floating value and save them inside our weather object or weather result object. So that's exactly what we are doing for all the 13 values. And in the last value, we are also putting that particular location object inside our list of weather results. Okay, and then we have putting that particular specific, and then we also adding that because this where on earth id does not is in these 30 values, that it is not there. So we already have a location object that we have passed from the main activity to the weather result activity, so that we make static, so we access that particular specific location object, get its where on earth id, and add that inside our weather results as a foreign key in that table. And then at the end we are going to add that particular weather object inside our list of weather results. And at the end, once we have added all, I mean for all the objects which are present, weather results object we have added inside our weather result list view list object. So we are going to add that list inside our database, and we are going to say that is successful is equal to true. And this is how we are going to represent. We are going to represent the title of that particular specific the city name, date on which it is, date and time on which that particular specific weather information is being created, weather state, it's a partly cloudy, clear, heavy rain, and so on. And then we also show appropriate, based on that weather state we are going to show the image. Then we also show the temperature and degree centigrade, and then we say humidity, what is the humidity value, what is the speed value. So that is, for that again it's a list of object that we are going to show inside our recycler view. So we are going to have a view holder. So inside the view holder, if you look at that, we have text view, text view, text view. This is also a text view. These two are also text view. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 text view and 1 image view. So you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 text views, 1 image view, and we are initializing them with the and connecting with those IDs which we have assigned inside our layout file. Again, I will put that particular layout file for the download inside the Moodle. So you can download it from here there. Then we also have weather results, that's adapter. Again, we have the list of the weather results object as a data part. We are initializing when we are in the constructor, and then we are creating the view holder. We are getting the size of the data part, and then at here we are actually initializing the values. We are showing the data inside each card view. Okay, so consolidated weather we are getting, and then title, that's coming from the location value, location object which is present inside this activity. So we inside weather result activity we are getting those with that thing from there. Created data parts, every other information is coming from our. And then remember that in the beginning I show you that we have those images that are available in the Moodle to download. You can put it in a drawable. So based on the abbreviation, weather state abbreviation, we are going to convert those, assign a specific. If it is abbreviation is C, it means clear, 8C, and so high cloud omen. But we need to see what those results are. But yeah, so what you can say that low cloud, high cloud, snow, heavy rain, heavy rain, heavy cloud, and so on. So accordingly, based on the what you can say that the weather state, we are showing appropriate what you can say that appropriate image on the weather result. So I mean here we have showers, so we are showing showers, clear, and so on. So again, this is our weather result activity in which we have the text view, and then we have a recycler view which show all these list of results. And then here we have our list activity. In this one we are just say that because we have passed the location objects from the main activity to the weather result activity. So what we are doing, we get the intent, we are reading that particular specific location object out of the intent and assigning it to our location object. And then remember that we are making public static so that we can access it in the other areas of our project. Again, we say if location is not equal to null, it means that we receive the location properly from our main activity. And then we are saying that initializing our recycler view, setting the layout manager and the view model, we are initializing the view model. And then we say that if the view model dot search, I mean, we get successfully read the result information, weather result information, then we say that view model dot get. Now we are getting the information from the database, not from our. So if this is successful, go into the database, read the locations for that Veronath ID and observe it and assign that particular list of weather results to our data adapter that we have just seen, and then set that adapter value. So that is the what you can say that is what we are going to and this will show us that particular specific activity. So in the next week we are going to work on our assignments. There will be no more lecture, so we already have done a lot of things. Okay, so for the SDLT, the last SDLT, you need to recreate, you need to build that particular application that I have just shown you here. I will show you how we can do it in step by step in the practical video as well, but you need to create that particular specific application and submit on the Moodle. And here are some references. And before we can go, I will just quickly show you the this application which is running, how it runs. So yes, I will show you quickly that how it runs, and so you can leave this lecture will be finished. Okay, what's going on? Yep. So you can see it here. It's still trying to build that particular specific project, and then it will come up here. So look at that here. If I say that I want, for example, my what you can say that okay, London, we search something, I'll now look at that. It is not responding to my query. Why? The reason is that because we are converting that particular specific, it's like, it's not responding to me. The reason is that we have running that read operation on our main activity, so that is not at all recommended. So you need to make sure that we need to find another way to handle that particular specific thing. What is that? It is your challenge, that if you can come up with that. Okay, let's go. Taking a long time. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, not responding. Maybe I just stop it. I guess my computer hangs, so I just wanted to show you. Yep. So what it was I click on the search. Now look at that, it show me the results. So now all the results which has the LON, Barcelona LON, Long Beach LON, so all these locations. So Barcelona, when I click on the Barcelona, it will show me the results for the Barcelona. So you can say heavy cloudy, showers, heavy cloud, showers, and so on. So you can see that particular specific thing. So that is the end of our lecture. Thank you very much. Bye.